Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of In Conversation by Advisor Coach. Today in conversation, once again, we have Mr. Pratik Oswal, Chief of Passive Business with Motilal Oswal Mutual Fund. Welcome, Pratik, to In Conversation.
Thanks, Rohit. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to this conversation.
Always a pleasure to have you. So, straight jumping into the questions, Pratik, Motilal Oswal has launched their new fund offer on 26th of November and closing on the 10th of December. The Motilal Oswal Nifty Capital Market Index Fund. So could you tell our viewers as to what this fund is all about? What's the strategy, and why a capital market index fund?
Yeah, so this is probably the most biased fund that we've ever launched, in history. I think, and
Biased. Why would you say biased?
I would say biased is because we have both you and me are part of this industry,
Yes, of course, of course.
So I think we work in the capital markets.
Yes.
It really determines our day-to-day job and day-to-day, how we spend our time, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. So I think we understand. So we understand the growth opportunity in the space. We understand that in India over the last 20, 25 years, we've seen an incredible a bull market, and we obviously see the next 10, 20 years to be exactly the same. And that's why we're here, and we believe that this is a great way to build your career and create wealth and all of that.
Absolutely.
Not and also create wealth from two options. One option is working, and the other one is investing. So we are probably the most lucky people where we
Absolutely.
get
And
to.
honestly, I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So we get to, earn income, but also create wealth. So I
Yes.
think it's, which is why I keep telling people that, it's not really a job. You're also learning how to invest, which I think is probably going to have a much bigger impact in your life than what your job will do financially.
Totally.
So I think so again, very biased one. The idea, and I think the thing about investing and about wealth creation is that the stock market happens to be, at least historically, the best asset class. In terms of wealth creation, it's given you close to 2x returns of what maybe an FD or a fixed income instrument does. But and we all know that, or at least we expect the stock market to continue to be the biggest growing asset class in investor portfolios. But what happens is, obviously, there are companies, in the space who allow access, or who help us give access to the stock market.
Mhm.
These are companies like broking companies. How do you buy a stock? You buy it through broking companies. How do you buy a mutual fund? You buy it through mutual fund companies. How do you, do your KYC through, like a depository, or, how do you, so there's a lot of market participants,
Mm.
like wealth managers, brokers, market depositories who provide infrastructure and access to this, incredible, stock market that we've built over the years.
Mm.
And
Mm.
we believe that as the markets grow, these companies will probably grow at a much faster rate, because they're literally in the space. So
Mm.
we believe that intermediaries, also market infrastructure guys like NSE, BSE, exchanges. You have rating agencies like ICRA and CRISIL, and you also have regulators. So India has a very developed ecosystem, probably the second or maybe third largest, capital markets ecosystem in terms of how we've developed. And the idea behind this fund is to really give access to these companies who are sort of pioneers, and who are sort of in the front of this entire sort of stock market revolution that we've had. So that is the idea behind the fund. It is essentially a fund that invest into capital market associated companies. It's a 15 stock portfolio. It's a thematic fund, and it's an index fund. So it's a passively managed fund. There is no active
And
involvement.
15 stocks, you said.
Yeah, approximately 15 stocks portfolio. And the idea is it's basically a thematic fund. So investors who have an appetite towards slightly higher risk products could look at this fund for the long-term wealth creation. So that's the idea behind the fund that we're launching. It's called the Motilal Oswal Nifty Capital Market Index Fund.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And the rebalancing is what, 6 months?
Yeah, so it's rebalanced every 6 months. The idea behind is that this fund will invest in approximately, so the security selection is about top 20 companies, but
Mm-hmm.
because the space is still very new and we've had a few IPOs that have happened in the space in the last 5 years, this is the track record of this. Space is also very limited, about 5 years.
Mm.
Currently, it's a 15 stock portfolio. Approximately it's about 45% mid caps, and the balance would be in small caps. So what's really strange is that there's no large cap capital market company in India, but
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully we'll see a few over the next decade or so.
yeah, yeah. And that's the upside.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the upside. So the relatively still small, relatively small companies are growing at incredible, rates of return. They tend to do exceedingly well in bull markets and okay-ish in sort of bear markets. So, these are sort of cyclical stocks, but we
Mm,
believe that, going forward, as their business models get more established,
mm.
as they get much larger, we can expect some more sort of, stability in terms of, how they perform in multiple market conditions. So
So
these are
pretty,
companies like, BSC, HDFC, AMC,
uh-huh, mm,
MCX, even Motilal Oswal is a part of it. You have
uh-huh. Okay.
361. And so you have AMCs, you have brokers, you have
Yeah.
wealth management
So
firms.
it's very well spread across. It's not because any specific sector within the capital market which is kind of more tilted towards.
Yeah, so essentially you're looking at four sort of, I would say, sub verticals.
Mm,
The first vertical is exchange and data platforms, which is basically the exchanges. You have
mm,
BSE, MCX, IEX. Then you have AMCs or asset management companies like
mm,
HDFC Nippon. Then you also have depositories, clearing houses, like
mm.
CDSL, CAMS, etc. And then last, you have the stockbroking and wealth management companies. And these are like, Angel One, 360, Motilal Oswal, Anand Rathi. So these are the four sort of verticals in which you would sort of drill down capital market companies.
Sure. So Pratik, post the COVID, we did see an outburst, at least in the investor behavior towards chasing the capital market, and in becoming a big investor, rather having a larger proportion in the portfolios. Like, we've seen how the IPOs or how the demat accounts. So to your mind, do you think, is it just a trend in this bullish market situation, or do you believe that's the way it will be now?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. COVID has been a crazy catalyst
Mm,
in this entire capital markets ecosystem. I think and also savings has also been fundamentally shifted in this
mm,
space. So I'll give you an example. So in the last 25 years, India has saved approximately $10 trillion, which is about two-thirds of the US economy. So our savings pool is about $10 trillion that we built over the last 25 years.
mm,
In the next 25 years, this is expected to be 100 trillion.
mhm,
So what we've done in the last 20 years, we'll be doing, 10 times of this in the next 25 years. So that is,
mm,
so number one, savings is expanded. As more and more middle class people, more and more wealth is created, more people tend to spend less on basics and are
mm,
able to spend or save in
mm,
different instruments. So savings is basically going to go up in a very big way.
mm,
The second is even the nature of savings has actually changed a lot. If you look at 2012, which is only, say, 12 years ago, only 2% of India's savings was invested in mutual funds and stocks.
yeah,
Only
yeah,
2%.
mm,
That has increased to approximately 16%, 8x in the
mm,
last 12 years. And
mm,
this is expected to go to 25%. So
mm,
this equity culture has really come in a very big way in the last 10 years,
mm,
especially in
mm.
the last 4 years. And what is happening is people are now moving assets from banks towards other savings pools.
Yeah, there is a shift happening.
Yeah, a huge shift. So about 58% of our savings used to be in FDs and savings
Mm,
bank. That has gone down to about 52%, and it's going to
mm,
go down to under 50% over the next few years' time. So not only savings has increased, but even the nature of savings are shifting from, say, traditional instruments like fixed income and savings bank towards stocks and other asset classes. So I think there is a huge sort of financialization of savings that's happened, which has led to that is changing. The
mm.
second is that digitization has really been a catalyst for
Right.
crazy growth in this ecosystem. Because of COVID, everybody was forced to go digital, so KYCs have become a lot easier. People are able to transact on their phones and laptops with very ease of use. UPI has made it very good. There is the entire internet, uh,
Mm,
as Geo came in, has been spread across. So overall, because of digitization, you are really seeing a crazy amount of participation that's happening in the capital markets ecosystem. I'll give you an example. We were about 2.3 crore demat accounts in 2012,
mm,
in 2014, sorry. So that has doubled, well, less than doubled in March 2020.
Yeah.
So, in about 4 years, to 2.3 became 4 crores.
Mm,
At 4 crores post-COVID has become 17.5 crores. So more than
mm,
4.5 times.
mm,
So what we've done in history since we started
mm.
has been quadrupled just in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
That is the sort of growth that we've seen in the capital markets ecosystem. Number of IPOs and the capital raised in the secondary markets have also gone up tremendously. And also the market growth and liquidity is also improved. There is no industry in India that has grown by 350 times.
Mm,
That
mm,
is the
mm.
liquidity that is increased in the Indian
Correct.
capital markets on
Correct.
the exchanges in the last 10 years time. So overall, what we're seeing is that COVID has been a catalyst. And since COVID, we've seen an incredible amount of growth that's happening in the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to add, obviously, the way we have seen the entire, the internet disruption, which we saw, specifically in the, price, because I remember 144 rupees for a GB, a couple of years ago to practically no cost per GB. The data has become so free. And plus, of course, also the way the younger generation and India specifically has been gifted with that. And with the rise in the GDP per capita, more economic savings happening, etc. The younger generation definitely is getting more into the capital market as they go along. But have you done any age demographic also behind this study?
Yeah, so I think in terms of number of new demat accounts, majority of it is coming from younger
Mm.
investors, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you look at 18 to 25-year-old, that sort of a segment has been the biggest growth in new demat
Sure.
accounts, and that is a great thing because invest wealth creation happens when you start early. I
Mm.
think starting early is the secret sauce of investing
Absolutely.
long term. So we believe that, as more and more people start participating in the capital markets earlier on, the easier or the relatively better their experiences when it comes to wealth
Absolutely.
creation. So I think that has been a great change that we've seen. But, even if the demographic, what we keep telling investors is even after a 4x growth, even after like, I mean, mutual fund SIPs have grown from a few thousand crores to 25,000 crore today.
Mhm, mhm.
We're still a very small part of, so the under penetration is quite staggering.
A lot.
Overall, if you look at household assets, only 4% of household assets are invested in equities. And this is maybe 5, 6 times in developed markets. So,
Yeah.
so I think we're still very under penetrated. If you
So
look at
we see a lot of potential, of course, ahead.
exactly. So no, so growth has been strong, but we're still heavily
Yeah.
underpenetrated. We have a population of 145. Obviously, most of the population we don't really and see them opening demat accounts in their lifetime. But we're looking at just 3.5 crore mutual fund investors in India.
Right.
Just 8 crore demat account holders in India. Unique demat account holders.
Unique.
So I think and if you think about it, India has about 80 crore e-commerce users. And I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that if you're an e-commerce user, you can open a broking account, right? It's the same infrastructure. So why is it that we have
And
10
and we've not
crore
yet added the
e-commerce
quick
users?
commerce numbers into this, by the way.
Yeah, quick commerce will also be may not be 80 crores, but
Definitely.
will be
It'll
in a
add on to the
it'll
number.
definitely be more than what you've seen in
Yeah.
the stock
Yeah.
market. So I think the penetration is still very low. And we believe that over the next decade, you'll see this number again growing multifold.
Absolutely.
But still, even if the markets have been poor, we're still seeing about 3.5 million demat accounts opening every month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're seeing very healthy growth in this segment over the next 10 years.
Very true. And very rightly said, digitization, I think, has kind of led to the disruption. And what's happening also is that, people are realizing that investing in capital markets is a very hassle-less, no administrative sort of an investment proposition vis-a-vis getting into a real estate. So a lot of new money, and people have also realized that, it's not the R which matters more, it is the T which matters more. So it's better to come in early. Fantastic. So, Pratik, what message would you like to give to distributors, advisors and investors, specifically for your Motilal Oswal Nifty Capital Market Index, NFO?
Yes, yeah. So we believe that we really believe in certain themes as an AMC, and this is one theme that we've been very bullish on. Obviously, we are part of this theme. So again, and the reason why we're part of it is because we're all very bullish about the markets, about India, growth story, and about the long-term potential of wealth creation in the space. So we believe that the capital market segment offers incredible opportunities for wealth creation for anyone looking at from a 4 to 5 year perspective minimum. To understand that, middle small caps are looking at trading in high valuations. So, investors should keep that in mind. This is a thematic fund, so investors should expect some higher volatility as opposed to a broad-based multi-cap or a flexi-cap fund. So just ensure that you are investing it in the right attitude, which is long term, and if you're okay with volatility. I think if investors are looking at from a long-term perspective, then we are very positive, and we believe that this can be an excellent wealth creation opportunity for anyone who's looking at this particular theme.
Sure, wonderful. So, well, for our viewers, this is Mr. Pratik Oswal, Chief of Passive Business with Motilal Oswal Mutual Fund, talking about the Capital Market Index Fund. That's the new fund offer of Motilal Oswal. Motilal Oswal Nifty Capital Market Index Fund opened on 26th of November and closing on 10th of December. So, thank you, Pratik, for taking us through, the details, the nuts and bolts about this fund, and wishing you the very, very best for this new fund offer. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks.